Merci. Oh mon Dieu, merci tout le monde. Woo. Wow. Thank you. Thank you, Diana. I owe you everything. I told you all those years ago we'd go places together, and this room is one of the best. Quelle salle. This room, the people in this room is remarkable. Remarkable because of what you did. Remarkable because of what we will do together. Yeah. It wasn't that long ago. Many of you were there in January. It was minus 20. Doors weren't opening, and you knocked anyways. You were there. You answered the phone at midnight because it couldn't wait till the morning. Vous étiez là, à mobiliser vos voisins, vos collègues, vos amis. You were there, driving 3 hours in April rain to make sure that every poll had a scrutineer. You showed up. You showed up again and again for a better future for all Canadians. You showed up because you are all in for Canada. Partout au pays, sur les fermes familiales, dans les écoles, les usines, les commerces, les gens parlent de la même chose. Et ils arrivent à la même conclusion. Ça vaut la peine de se battre pour le Canada. A year ago, just over a year ago, in the midst of a blizzard, we started down the road to make the best country in the world even better. We should be under no illusions. The path we've chosen is hard. There will be headwinds, black ice, steep climbs along the way. We'll have to be pragmatic and determined to keep moving forward. But this is the journey that we must make. Because we are meeting in the middle of a transformation that will define our country for generations. And Canadians sense it. Au cours de la dernière année, 300 000 nouvelles personnes se sont inscrites au Parti libéral. Les Canadiens et Canadiennes qui avaient voté pour d'autres partis dans le passé nous font maintenant confiance pour l'avenir. Et ce, dans toutes les provinces et territoires du Canada. Toutes les provinces et territoires du Canada. Les députés ont changé de camp pour rejoindre notre équipe parce qu'ils comprennent l'importance qui est en jeu. Ils ont la conviction qu'ensemble, nous pouvons mieux y arriver. Et en même temps, les premiers ministres de toutes les allégeances collaborent avec nous et entre autres. Les Canadiens s'unissent pour bâtir un Canada fort. Ça, c'est la vérité. The world's changing. Not gradually, but suddenly. Yes, some are still in denial. Rather than starting on this journey, they're waiting for the past to return. Nope. But hope is not a plan, and nostalgia is not a strategy. And if we stand still during this rupture, we will surrender our future to others. My friends, technological change is accelerating. We can either shape our future with AI or let it control our destiny. The foundations of the international order, the order which Canada helped build and from which we have benefited for so long, that order is crumbling. Bon nombre de nos anciennes forces qui reposaient sur nos liens étroits avec les États-Unis sont devenues nos faiblesses. Nous avons compris ces changements très tôt. D'autres pays commencent à peine à en mesurer la portée. Et si nous avons dépassé le choc initial de cette trahison, nous ne devons jamais en oublier les leçons. Nous devons prendre soin de nous-mêmes. Exact. Exact. Et nous devons nous entraider. Mes chers amis, la route devant nous ne sera pas toujours facile, mais notre pays en sortira plus fort et plus juste si nous restons unis tous ensemble. No, this is not the time for politics as usual, for petty differences, for political point scoring. United, we will build Canada strong. A Canada for all, a Canada strong that no one can ever take away. I feel that strength. I feel that strength in this room. I feel that strength. I feel that strength. As Diana mentioned, we feel that strength across this great country. At this decisive moment, Canadians are demonstrating just how strong we are. You know, it started quietly. People choosing a wine from the Okanagan over one from California. Anyone had any bourbon recently? No, I don't think so, no. Sorry. A family planning a vacation to Prince Edward Island instead of booking flights to Florida. Canadians are rediscovering our country. The Cabot Trail in October. The Columbia Ice Field in June. Le Festival international de jazz à Montréal en juillet. The prairies at harvest where the sky goes on forever. You know, Canada's tourism sector had a record-breaking summer, 50,000 more train rides, 13% more visits to our national parks, 15% more visits to our national museums. Small individual acts of solidarity, but repeated millions of times. And together, they make a statement. We are the masters of our destiny. C'est vrai. Absolument. Nous sommes maîtres chez nous, sans doute, sans exception. of everything Canadians have done this past year, the most moving has been how we've looked out for each other, including amidst the worst tragedies. Think of the good people of Tumbler Ridge. When the unimaginable happened, first responders were at the school within 2 minutes. Teachers shielded their children. Neighbors held each other for comfort. Right after the shooting, Jim Caruso packed his bags, traveled over 1,000 kilometers to support families. And Jim said, I want to hug people, pray for them, and most importantly, cry with them. That's Canada. Looking out for each other, standing together when things get tough so that they can get better. I'm right there with you. Canada's new government is right there with you, inspired by hard-working, always caring Canadians. From now on, for example, with our new Buy Canadian policy, when the federal government spends, we will select Canadian suppliers by default. The days of our military sending 70 cents of every dollar to the United States are over. We are going to build Canada strong with Canada Steel, Canadian aluminum, Canadian lumber, Canadian workers. Hey. Nous le ferons d'abord dans nos communautés, en construisant des logements abordables, accessibles et durables, en construisant de nouveaux hôpitaux, des infrastructures de transport en commun, des installations récréatives et des centres des arts. Car un Canada fort, ça veut dire une Surrey fort, un Nepean fort et un Sherbrooke fort. We are building big things again by removing all federal barriers to internal trade and fast-tracking projects that will connect, diversify, and propel our great country. We've already announced 14 nation-building initiatives supporting over 500,000 jobs and over $100 billion in new investment. We're realizing Canada's full potential, our full potential in clean and conventional energy to power Canadian homes, Canadian businesses, and Canadian sovereignty. And we're using those resources to ensure affordable energy for Canadians today and a competitive economy for our kids tomorrow. We're creating new trade corridors from the Mackenzie Valley to Contrecoeur to Churchill to make Canada more connected, more independent, and more prosperous. And there's going to be a lot of trade going through those corridors because we have struck 20 new economic and security partnerships on 4 continents in just a year. Yeah. We are on track. We are on track to double our non-U.S. exports over the next decade. That is $300 billion. $300 billion in new orders for Canadian resources, Canadian goods, Canadian expertise. And at the same time, our new defense industrial strategy will catalyze $500 billion of investment to build Canadian industry from aerospace to AI, creating over 125,000 new jobs in the process. But we've started right. We've just implemented the largest pay increase for the women and men of the Canadian Armed Forces. That's right. We've implemented that increase so that their compensation matches the weight of their responsibilities. And Canadians, young Canadians are already responding to the call to serve. Recruitment is up 13% since last June. From the coalition of the willing to defend Ukraine, to work, we will not rest. To working with Nordic countries and the UK to protect our Arctic, we are defending Canada and Canadian values with reliable partners. It's a more dangerous and divided world. That's the reality. So we are no longer relying just on the strength of our values. We are also building the value of our strength. And as we do, we're reviving the ambitious spirit that built Canada. Our country was forged by Indigenous peoples and voyageurs who mapped this continent. Think about it. They mapped this continent and they built vast trading networks from coast to coast to coast before the Americans had even left St. Louis. À la fin de la Deuxième Guerre mondiale, les Canadiens se sont rassemblés pour réaliser de grandes choses. Bâtir de nouveaux quartiers pour les centaines de milliers d'anciens combattants de retour au pays. Construire de nouvelles universités pour lancer de nouvelles carrières. Relier notre territoire grâce à la voie maritime de Saint-Laurent et à la transcanadienne. Et avec Expo 67, inspirer le monde entier. My friends, we used to explore in this country. Now, we're charting new courses again. We used to build in this country. Now, we are building big, building fast, building bold again. We used to take risks in this country, and now we're going to the moon. Just the other day, speaking from integrity deep in space, Canada's astronaut, Jeremy Hansen. Jeremy Hansen advised us that as a country, we have to be willing to take risks. Recognize that sometimes we will have setbacks, but push through them and, in his words, ultimately know that we are going to persist and we will win. Yes, a united, ambitious, and confident Canada is once again taking risks to build a Canada that works for all. Now, let me put that in context. About a year ago, I received a letter from an old friend, Bob Zettel, who wrote, and I quote, "Right now, everyone sees the main threat as the Trump tariffs. But the challenge is greater. The challenge will be, as it's always been, to foster unity and the common good. End quote. Bob's right. Canadians are being called to serve, but not against something, for each other. And that is why you're here. Because you believe, like I believe, that Canada is only strong when it works for everyone. That's our objective. And that's our heritage. After all, Canada is a nation forged through accommodation, not assimilation. Through partnership, not domination. The founding insight of our country is that unity does not require uniformity. This is neither a myth nor a miracle, but a series of choices made imperfectly across generations. Pragmatic decisions that have become a moral conviction. That our differences are a strength to be nurtured, not a risk to be managed. And so, each generation has chosen to widen the circle, and we Liberals stand in that tradition. Wilfrid Laurier, who governed a country that had once conquered his people, built a federation strong enough to hold both. Louis Saint-Laurent, who built a connected and confident Canada through massive infrastructure projects and our country's first independent foreign policy. Lester Pearson. Yeah. Took that long. We definitely have an independent foreign policy now. Because it's based on our values in a world that is losing theirs. Think of Lester Pearson, who demonstrated that true security is social through public pensions and public health care. Pierre Elliott Trudeau, who enshrined the very architecture of a just society. Jean Chrétien. Jean Chrétien. Absolument. Jean Chrétien, who kept Canada united, sovereign, and free. And Paul Martin, who combined social innovation, sustainable health care, and sound fiscal management. And Justin Trudeau. Justin. They didn't give me enough time to list. But in many ways, this is the essence, in my view. Justin Trudeau widened the scope of our inclusive society by lifting, think about it, by lifting almost 1 million Canadian children out of poverty. He walked the path of reconciliation with Indigenous peoples. And he built a true compact with future generations. Now we stand in that tradition with the same conviction that the greatest country on earth can become even greater still. Mes chers amis, la force économique est essentielle pour notre mission. Parce que nous ne pouvons pas partager ce que nous n'avons pas. Nous ne pouvons pas être forts à l'étranger si nous sommes faibles chez nous. Et nous ne pouvons pas bâtir un avenir meilleur si nous ne sommes pas aux commandes de notre présent. Oui. Une économie forte crée des emplois bien payés. Elle nous donne les moyens de prendre soin les unes des autres. Elle nous rend plus autonomes. Alors, nous bâtissons une économie forte pour offrir des soins de santé de qualité aux Canadiens et Canadiennes, pour offrir un régime de pension sur lequel nos aînés comptent, pour offrir des services de garde qui aident les jeunes familles à joindre les deux bouts. Pour offrir... Il n'y en a plus. Pour offrir un programme de soins dentaires, un programme d'assurance médicaments et un programme national d'alimentation scolaire. Et pour assurer le dynamisme et la diversité de notre secteur culturel. As liberals, we're passionate about building a strong economy as a means to a just society. Hear, hear. A just society anchored in the Charter of Rights and Freedoms, where women always have the right to choose. Where you can believe what you want to believe, where you can love who you want to love, where everyone can be their entire selves and all have a chance to thrive. As liberals, we believe in a just society where we take care of the vulnerable, where we pull together to make life more affordable today and better tomorrow. Now, we know that Canadians are under pressure from everyday expenses. That's why we're making government more productive through tough but responsible choices that will save taxpayers $60 billion. It's why we cut taxes for 22 million middle-class Canadians. It's why we launched the Canada Groceries and Essentials benefit to support 12 million Canadians who need it the most. It's why we're boosting competition for your hard-earned dollar in telecom, in banking, at grocery stores, so Canadians get lower prices, better products, more choices. Et nous bâtissons un Canada fort de la bonne façon. Nous bâtissons un Canada fort en solidarité, en créant de bons emplois syndiqués. Nous bâtissons un Canada fort de manière inclusive, en partenariat étroit avec les Premières Nations, les Inuits et les Métis. Nous bâtissons de façon durable parce que la réduction des émissions n'est pas seulement un devoir moral, elle est aussi un impératif économique. Nous bâtissons de façon durable en préservant l'immense patrimoine naturel du Canada. Grâce à nos engagements historiques pour protéger nos lacs, nos forêts, nos océans et notre faune. Et nous bâtissons de façon durable en veillant à ce que les plus grands projets d'intérêt national profitent à l'ensemble des Canadiens, à nos enfants, à leurs enfants. Now, when we build physically, as I just said, we're building inclusively, sustainably, and in solidarity. And these same values must hold when we build virtually, because AI, artificial intelligence, the defining technology of our era, is arriving. And the question is not whether AI will transform our lives, it will. The question is whether it will improve the lives of all Canadians or benefit only some. Our goal is AI for all. AI governed by Canadian values, AI accountable to Canadians, AI that serves Canadians. AI for all can make the jobs of Canadian workers more interesting and more rewarding, and done right, and we must do this right. AI in healthcare can mean shorter wait times and better service. AI in education can meet every child where they are. And AI in government can mean a government that works better for you. My dear friends, this great country has been built by ordinary Canadians making bold choices and doing extraordinary things, like the people in this room who show up, like the people watching who never give up, people who believe in the promise of Canada. You know, it was just a year ago that Canadians were asked a fundamental question. Who's ready? Who's ready to stand up for Canada? You were, and you certainly are. You are. Et tous les Canadiens le sont. Tous les Canadiens le sont, en achetant des produits canadiens, en découvrant le Canada, en faisant preuve de solidarité face à une crise dont ils ne sont pas responsables par des actions que personne n'exige, mais que tout le monde ressent. Friends, we are recommitting today to a simple mission in that same spirit, to build a Canada that's not just strong, but good. A Canada that's not just prosperous, but fair. A Canada not just for some most of the time, but for all of the time. Le Canada est plus qu'une nation. Il est formé d'un ensemble d'idéaux sacrés reposant sur des fondements concrets. Nous savons que nous ne sommes pas parfaits, mais nous nous efforçons toujours d'agir pour le mieux. Nous agissons parce que c'est juste, pas parce que c'est facile. Nous considérons la bienveillance comme une vertu, pas comme une faiblesse. You know, we remember On September 11th, 2001, the people of Gander welcomed thousands of stranded passengers into their homes. They welcomed into their homes without question, without hesitation, without asking for anything in return. And last year, I went there and I sat down with two of the heroes of that moment, Diane Davis and Beulah Cooper. Yeah. And they showed me a thank you card from a young girl named Ellie. And she'd written, and I quote, "Your kindness motivates me to use my kindness." Yeah. Yeah. That phrase, Ellie's phrase, captures what Canadians instinctively know. That virtue is like a muscle. It grows with exercise. When we are kind, kindness grows. When we seek unity, unity grows. When we are Canadian, Canada grows. And when we are all in for Canada, we will build Canada strong for all. Merci beaucoup et vive le Canada!